Right, so this is going to be a quick tutorial. In Warhammer 2 you actually have two campaigns to choose from. Now this you will recognize, this portion you will recognize as the Warhammer 1 map. What they've done is they've taken Warhammer 1 map and expanded it. So you've got now the Southlands, which is this little Africa, top part of Africa region, and this eastern part as well. You've also got Lustria and Nagarond and Ulthuan. So most of the map is still the old world, but actually maybe half of it is the old world and the rest is everything else, but I'm not sure. But for this you need the Warhammer 1. The other map you have is the Vortex campaign map, which actually has a bit more of a story element to it. As you can see, this is absolutely not geographically accurate. I mean, the left side maybe, Nagarond and Nagaroth and Lustria are going to be pretty accurate, and Ulthuan as well, although possibly a bit too close to Nagaroth. The Southland shouldn't be here at all, though. They should be all the way to the right over here, underneath, and above it should be the old world. But you know, for the purposes of the campaign, it's fine. So 4 main continents in the campaign, and purpose of which is to, at least for the 4 main races, it's to basically race to collect enough like pieces of a specific artifacts, and then when you get enough of them you can enact rituals to take control of the vortex in the middle. And once you've done enough rituals, you'll play the final battle and win. Along the way you'll have to fight various Skaven and Chaos stacks which will spawn and try to stop you, along with all the other races that you're racing against in the game. So that's the intro. Now I'm going to just pick the Vortex campaign, and I'm going to go with High Elves in this case, because they're just a good race to get you started in the game. Obviously if you want to play Lizardmen, they have 4 lords that you can choose from. One of them is DLC though. Every race has 2 base lords in the game, 1 free LC, so basically 3 lords in the game for free, and every race has 1 paid DLC lord. And then there's the Tomb Kings and the Vampire Coast, which actually the entire faction is DLC, but never mind that. So I'm going to skip all this. So when you get into the campaign map, first thing you want to do is zoom out and have a look at where you are. I mean, we know where Tyrion would be. He'd be in Lothan. I'm going to click on the ownership tab here so you can see where you are. Another thing you might want to do is click on climate suitability. So you can see, because in Warhammer 2 you can actually colonize anywhere you want. I remember in Warhammer 1 you could only capture settlements of, so if you were Empire you could only capture Vampire or Empire cities, and if you were Dwarfs or Greenskins you could only capture each other's stuff. In Warhammer 2, and this includes Mortal Empires, you can capture anywhere you want. However, there are some climates which will be unsuitable for you and you'll have penalties. So on Ulthuan, unsurprisingly, the elves can easily settle everywhere. You know, as you can see, there's a yellow section here, red section here. I can't see it if I hover it. Let's see. There's nowhere I can show you, but I think orange would be slight public order issues and it will cost more to do stuff, and red would be very unsuitable. And that basically, that's very difficult to hold. If you want a red climate suitability, then you really must want that city, because everything will cost double to build effectively. It will take twice as long as well. So yeah, anyway, never mind that. So you get your bearings on your location and you go on climate suitability, so you can see where you want to expand, if you want to expand. So the goal with Tyrion, I suppose, would be to capture all of Ulthuan. Now next thing you would do is you would click on your city. Sometimes you have more than one, in this case I don't, and you would see which other cities are in my province, the province being the Straits of Lothan. And you can see the province if you zoom out. Well, it's not, unfortunately it's written across the sea, which makes it hard to see, but Straits of Lothan are technically here. As you can see, Eotane is written here, Southern Ivres is here, Shifting Isles, and so on. So what you want to do is you want to try and complete your province where possible. Again, every campaign will be slightly different, but this one you can complete it because you're actually at war. You can see here, I'm at war with the Cult of Excess, which are Dark Elves. They're Dark Elf insurgents, effectively, on Ulthuan. So I want to capture these two cities. Now, how am I going to do it? This is the army I started off with. Tyrion, very, very powerful melee lord in this game. Very high armor, very high weapon skill strength, weapon skill. It says duelist, but he can tank quite nicely as well in the right situation. Spearman, couple range units, another range unit, and a monster which causes terror, which is really good. But I won't go into that now. That's for the battle tutorials. So I could capture Glittering Tower. Oh, the yellow border is obviously how far I can move in one turn. Now there are ways to move further. For example, the march stance, that will allow me to go much further. However, if I march, I won't be able to engage in battles, and there are other penalties involved. Anyway, let's just move normally for now. So I can't reach the Tower of Lysian, but I can reach the Glittering Tower. However, the idea would be to capture that and then that. Now, the enemy will be building an army somewhere, probably in Angerial, in anticipation of me attacking him. So I have to think carefully. I could go for Tower of Lysian first, or Glittering Tower, I'm not sure. Anyway, another thing you might want to do is, at the bottom here, you can see Overview. The next one is the garrison details. Now this is my garrison, and this is the garrison of the other two cities. So pretty easy stuff. 2 swordsman units, 1 spearman unit, 2 range units on both. So I'm just going to go to Glittering Tower, and honestly, I would normally play it just to take less casualties, but that's for another tutorial. Actually, yeah, that's for another tutorial. So I'm going to auto-resolve.
This place is ours.
I mean, in this case, I'm just going to occupy. I don't want to sack a city that I want to own for myself. Very good. And now I can build something before I end my turn. Probably want to upgrade my capital's building so I can get higher tier units. Another thing I might want to do here is, I know that this city is actually abandoned. It's actually a ruin. And you can colonize these with your lords. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to build another lord so as not to distract Tyrion. And next turn I'm going to march over here. Actually, well, it will take 2 turns. And I will colonize it with that lord. Because otherwise Caledor will take it. Because technically this isn't Caledor's land. Caledor province. Anyway, as I'm in my... So the way it works with recruitment is you can recruit locally if you have a building which allows you to recruit in the province. So even though Glittering Tower right here, which is where Tyrion is, has no barracks building, Lothern does, so I can.
Ever loyal.
1 archer, 2 spears. Or maybe you... Yeah, that should be fine. He's also leveled up, so I'm going to click on his skill page. I'd almost always recommend going Route Marcher first, and then it depends. Red is like the army buffs, so you'll give all of your... If I go for this one, for example, the entire... Any spearman units, archers units, and Lothern Seaguard units would get this buff, and so on. So yeah. Yellow are the battle skills, so for the individual fighting prowess, sometimes it's magic, and these are campaign specific buffs, and here are all these big items and stuff that you can get. But anyway, never mind that. I'm going to go for a Route Marcher for now. Extra movement range on the campaign map is always nice. Do I want to build anything? Not now. I don't have much gold, I don't have much income, and it might be that next turn I need to recruit again. And I also need money to colonize, so I'm going to save up. I can see the vampire coaster moving around. And these pirates, which are very, very powerful. They're like roaming warbands on the campaign map. You want to stay away from them at first. So nothing of note has happened. So I will move this guy away. I'm going to press R to speed up movement. So next is Tower of Lysian. Let's move closer. You can see my border is here. So I can't recruit once I cross the border. And 1 more archer unit. should be fine. Again, I don't want to spend any money without, because I might need it. In fact, I probably will need it, and I might not have enough. I need 2,500 to colonize, but that's fine. I'll show you a different mechanic in the meantime. So I'm going to recruit and attack Tower of Lycian next turn, completing the province. And once you have a whole province, you get some nice buffs.
Ancestors would be proud. Defender of the Phoenix.
So when you go into a ruin, you actually can colonize, or you can search them. And when you search them, you get a little puzzle that you can do. And if you complete the puzzle, you get rewarded. So let's actually do that. So this particular puzzle has 4 dice, and based on what you see, you need to figure out what's on the question mark. Now, I'm going to embarrass myself now because I'm just going to rush it and see what happens. So let's see, like a blade next to a C, next to a thing. It's also got a spiral next to it. I think it's this. I'm right. Good shit. So I got some gold and I got an item, Potion of Speed. And that Potion of Speed, I want to make sure Tyrion gets it, because he's going to be doing most of the fighting. Next turn I will use this character to colonize the city, and then I'll disband the character, because for every character you have, if you look up here, for every additional lord that you have, the army upkeep increases across the board. So if I kept Tyrion's army the way it is, but recruited 10 more lords, my army upkeep would become like 40-50%. So obviously that's like exponential expenses if you have loads and loads of armies. Basically, it's there to stop you from having one super army and then just spamming 10 lords with no armies, because that's lame. So you don't want to have more lords than strictly necessary, because each one is giving you percentage upkeep increase, which you don't want. So another easy auto resolve. Occupy again. Now we have the whole province. I can issue an edict, provincial edict, which gives me little buffs. So in this case, I'm just going to go with growth plus 20%. Yep. What I've also noticed is that there are 2 of the same building in the province. I don't need that. So I'm going to delete the Lothan one. Actually, no, I'm not, and I have a reason for that. I'm going to delete the Tower of Lycian, because I don't need 2 of the same building in the same province, barracks-wise. It does nothing for me. Or does it? Actually.
The Asa are ageless.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything. Never mind. So we're going to recruit again. Now Tyrion's trait actually gives him less upkeep for spearmen, archers and silver helms. So I'm actually got very low upkeep for this army because of his abilities. Cool, and that's the end of that turn. I'm just going to click the fast forward button so it skips through everybody. Okay, so I've got some diplomacy already. He wants military access. He's not currently enemies with anyone. He's not friends with anyone, so there's no real harm to this. But at the same time, I don't need military access from him. I'm not marching through his lands, so I'm going to say no. Actually, one thing I should have done. You should read those. One thing I should have done is I should have filtered who's friendliest towards me and try and make trade agreements with them. So Ingmar is at war with the pirates of Sartosa, which means if I make a trade agreement with these guys, the pirates will start to like me less and less, but that's fine. And these guys have no enemies, so again, trade agreement.
Give you address the Asur of Ulthuan.
Safari.
A wise course.
stuff.
You
Coffee.
may approach and make your request, of course.
I mean, yeah, I am Tyrion after all. Well, I could trade with the Dark Elves who are in the north, but I won't do that. Calador don't like me. They usually don't go to war with you though, unless you piss them off. Right, colonize. Now I have this town. I'm going to delete, as you're going to keep an eye on the upkeep up there. I'm going to get rid of him. My upkeep has been reduced, so my income has gone up, which is fair enough. The breakdown of my income now, I have 235 extra gold per turn thanks to these trade deals that I've just set up. I have to build the town and so on. Right.
Tyrion, heir of Anarion.
Now, this is a walled city, which you can tell because it has this sort of checkered banner as opposed to here. It looks like a wall, right? So this is a walled city, which means to fight it, I will need to siege it, which is no easy task. No easy task indeed.
We are ill at ease.
And there is nothing really to help you here. I need to get...
Ridiculous.
Well, there's a few options I could have, but I won't get into that now. For now, I will simply build growth buildings to speed up the growth of my home province and upgrade to tier 3. Once I get to tier 3, I'll have access to white lions and eagles, both of which would help in a siege.
The Druki are no threat.
Okay.
Protector of the Everqueen.
So one trick you can try is if you hover your mouse over a piece of ground, you get some stats about the terrain and whatnot. It actually says ambush success chance 45%. Well, the way you do that is you put your lord, and you have to make sure. Okay, first, sorry, I'll start again.
Onward.
To change to ambush stance, you need at least 25% of your movement allowance per turn. Now here is the bar for movement. So I'm going to move him here, which is probably a bit too close for an ambush, but I'm going to try it. It does say 45%, so decent chance. And I'm going to place him in ambush stance. Now what happens is, if it worked, you disappear from the map, and the AI, if it happens to walk through my area of control, which is the red one, I will have the option to basically fight an ambush battle against them. And if I do that, they won't get reinforcements, because right now, if I attack them, they would have whatever this army is, plus the garrison of Angariel. That's what they would have. Obviously, they'd also have a wall, and that makes it very, very hard to beat them with the units that I have. The Phoenix is strong, but not that strong. So, let's see if the ambush works. In the meantime, I don't need to spend anything here, do I really? Public order is still, actually with high elves, you want to keep public order relatively high, because otherwise you start taking penalties here. So that's what I'm going to do.
Makes them weak.
Lysian.
Greetings. The Phoenix Court will hear your words.
He wants an agreement. So he's at war with... I mean, I know these factions. So he's at war with the Norskins, the Chaos factions, and the Dark Elves in the north. So I don't really... I'm fine to accept that. You want to be careful who you make agreements with. If they're... not now. If they're not friends with... if they're not friends with people you don't want to be enemies with, don't sign agreements. So for example, if I wanted the Norskins to like me, I wouldn't make an agreement with them, because then the Norskins would start hating me as well. There it is, it worked. He came out of the city and I instantly ambushed him. So I'm actually going to play this one, so I can conclude the tutorial with a battle one. So because it's an ambush, it's got weird deployment. You basically catch them marching along a road, and then you can deploy around them, and that's obviously not normal, but that's okay. So they're in a marching formation. Forgive my graphics, I'm gonna upgrade my computer soon. Oh, gonna sneeze. So he's got Black Ark Corsairs, which are heavily armored and they're good against infantry, but my spearmen will hold them off. He's got Bleak Swords, which are slightly better than spearmen. Offensively, spearmen are better defensively. And Dark Shards, which are armor-piercing ranged units. Oh, they're actually shielded as well. Shit. So that means that they kind of counter my archers, but that's fine. My auto-resolve odds were way better than my actual odds, it seems. Should have auto-resolved, but hey. Oh, I suppose I should explain the... So obviously, you know, if you right-click and hold a bunch of units, you can drag them along a formation however you like. Once you've placed them, you can press Alt, hold Alt, left-click and move them around the way you want. Right? It's very useful, because if I set up like a complex formation of some kind, and I want to make sure that when they march, that they keep it, Alt, right, like this, like that. The other one you want to know is Control. Control, how's it work? Control left-click turns the unit. You can also do it with formation. So if I press Alt, I can move them around. But if I press Control as well, I can turn the formation. If this isn't like enough for you, I'll send you a 6-minute video explaining how this works. But that's the main thing. You just got to remember to use Alt for basically everything. So the plan here, he's got a pretty strong army himself. I'm going to basically try and shoot his ranged units down as quickly as possible because they're very powerful, the Dark Elf ones. Wait, what? Why am I playing with medium unit sizes? What the hell? I should be on Ultra. Okay, oops, I need to change that. So my unit sizes are 3/4 of what they should be. So I'm going to try and shoot down all of his ranged units and use the Phoenix. The Phoenix has a mechanic called Fear and Terror. Fear lowers the leadership of the unit, and Terror basically has a chance to completely break the unit once they're low health, and that can spread through the army. So it's quite powerful. So aim is to basically weaken the Dark Shards so that their morale gets low, and crash the Phoenix into them so that it really breaks them. If that doesn't work, then at least it will tie them up and stop them from shooting. Tyrion, in the meantime, is a much better duelist than this average Dark Elf Lord with a crossbow, so I'm going to send him to fight.
Spearman, for the king! It shall be done. Orders received.
And they're actually tired because I caught them on forced march. Now, High Elves have an ability which basically makes them have higher stats when they're above half health. And the Phoenix has a bombardment ability, which I'm going to use now. But my archer spam on them is actually working. There you go. Need to try and get to their lord. So their range ability is gone, basically. Just be careful with the archers. They walked into the battle line. You can turn on guard mode to make sure that they don't move away.
Heir of Anarion.
Alright. Get over to the...
Annihilate
I need to get him out of this melee.
Victory. Moving
Slowly
out.
push himself out
With me.
so that he can attack this Dreadlord. If he kills him, then it'll be a leadership debuff for the whole army. But this spearman unit's not going to hold too long. I need to help them.
By Assyrian. Archers.
So let's help.
Loyal. It shall be done. Acknowledged. Death to all. Without fail. For duty. Swiftly. Quickly now. Apace.
So I'm going to rear charge these Dread Spears now. Obviously, spearmen have a charge bonus of 4, which is nothing. Proper charge bonus would be like 30 or 40. But it will still do morale damage because they're getting attacked in the flank. As you can see from the little white things.
Archers, Asser forward, swiftly.
Tyrion is about to slay the Lord, which means an army-wide drop in morale. As you can see, units are already running away. I can use the Phoenix to break the last ones.
Heir of Anarion. Immediately. Archers.
Man, I've mismicroed these archers quite badly. They're running away, they're running away. I just need to break this last unit. They're the only ones not running. And oh no. These guys are dead.
Acknowledged.
Damn.
To the fray.
If they'd broken, I would have won here. If the entire army breaks, even if they're full health, you win. Which I couldn't quite manage to do.
Spearman.
I mean, I'm playing quite lazily because when I'm explaining stuff. In theory, I would be way more active microing stuff.
Orders received.
Let's speed up. Pretty much a foregone conclusion now. So they're all running away. They should run away soon as well. Yep. Make these guys run away. They are running. The whole army's running now. When they've got a white flag like that, like replacing the actual unit symbol, that means they are not going to come back. They're completely shattered. How long's the recording? 27 minutes. Okay, good. Another 2 minutes and then that'll be it. You've got some options when you defeat them. You can take money, but then your casualty replenishment rate reduces because it's supposed to... Basically what you're doing is you're taking the captives away. You can force the captives to actually assist in labor, which translates to actually healing your troops a bit more, or you can execute everybody for unit experience. Right now I probably want to heal because I want to take the city as soon as possible. So the healthier my army is, the better I'll do in the siege. So that was successful. And upgrade the glittering tower as well. He leveled up again. Strength, melee, so he's got pretty high melee attack already. I don't need that. Speed would be nice. Just make him a little bit quicker. That'll get even faster once he gets a horse.
Awaiting orders.
And then there's a siege. Now I can actually fight the siege right away because the bolt thrower is actually a siege attacker. Normally you can't fight a siege unless you have units that can destroy walls or gates, but this thing can. In theory anyone can, but yeah, the rules of the game are that way. Otherwise you need to build a battering ram or a siege tower. Now I won't do it because I'm guessing you played sieges before, but yeah. So that's it. If hopefully that helped. The idea would be to capture, get rid of your closest enemies, and then stop and reconsider what it is you need to do. Some races will continue to keep playing aggressively, expanding everywhere. Some races can't. They have to be a bit more turtley, a bit more defensive. It really depends on the campaign. It depends on the actual map as well you're playing, because you know, for instance, Teclis in the Vortex campaign starts all the way down here, but in the Mortal Empires campaign he's here. Khalida, the Tomb Queen, she's all the way down here in Vortex, but in Mortal Empire she starts over here where she's supposed to be, in Libaros. So yeah, that's it. Hopefully that helps. And if you want more of these, I can do more for other races.